Heaven's California.
Hey guys, today I'm gonna be finally reacting to the Nightmare Falls video. I was gonna do this late last night, but then I started singing instead for an hour in the basement, so I didn't do it. And yeah, you might notice my cold sore still. Ew, just ignore that. Nasty. Ew. I really hate cold sores. Just one of my gross. Yeah, this is gonna be a 26-minute video. I've noticed that recently Mr. Nightmare videos and Nightmare Falls videos have been like 20+ minutes around there, so I'm like, we're almost there, so I'm like, damn. But yeah, so 10 Disturbing True Horror Stories, Volume 2. So it's 10 stories, so for 10 stories, 26 minutes is fairly reasonable, because like usually with Mr. Nightmare it's like 20 minutes for like 3, so I mean, that's definitely not bad at all. So the stories are probably fairly short then, somewhat. But let's get into it. Boom.
Nightmare Files.
I always feel like I'm too close to this side or this side.
A few years back, I can honestly say that I had one of the most dangerous jobs. I was a pizza delivery man in Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh God.
One night, I received an order that had special instructions to come into the house and leave the pizza on the stove.
No.
I thought that was pretty odd.
Yeah, no.
I told my boss, and he said go ahead with it. I had to remind him that I've been robbed twice and shot at, but I really need the money, so I did it.
Oh my goodness.
I pulled up to a sketchy neighborhood. That's nothing new. I thought to myself, not again. As I walked to the door, I had an uneasy feeling. I got to the door and I saw a note, and it said, "Doors open. Take the pizza to the kitchen." I walked in and all the lights were off except for the kitchen.
Why are they off?
When I walked in and I placed the pizza on the stovetop, just something didn't feel right.
Clearly.
I started to walk out, and I heard the door open upstairs, followed by footsteps.
What are you doing?
Someone peeked around the wall on the stairs and yelled down the stairs, and they said, "Come upstairs.
No.
I have your tip."
No.
Then out of nowhere, I heard the scream of a woman. Right after that, I heard a man tell her, "Shut up before I choke you."
What?
That was my cue to book it out of there.
Get the hell out of there.
I got into the car and I saw a girl banging on the upstairs window along with screaming.
Call the police.
Then a man grabbed her from behind and she disappeared out of view. When I got back to the pizza joint, I told my boss. He called the police and I quit my job. I had way too many close calls working as a pizza delivery guy in Cleveland. Been robbed, shot at, and now this.
That's ridiculous.
Never again will I do that. I never asked what happened with that situation. And honestly, I don't care to know.
That's scary as hell. Don't. Oh my God. I order pizza sometimes and like I order at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. So.
My wife Claire and I, we were on our way to Rotterdam for the weekend to visit her family as it was her father's birthday.
Okay.
We live in Brussels, so the drive there took around 2 hours or so. So we left at around 9:30 p.m. because I got off late. About an hour into the drive, we decided to stop at a gas station to refuel, and we got some coffee. It was dark, cold, and pouring rain, so we didn't want to take too long. Claire went inside to get some coffee and some snacks. As I was putting gas to the car, I noticed a strange-looking man from the distance just staring at Claire as she went inside.
God.
That didn't bother me so much, but what did was how out of place he looked. He had no car or people with him. He had long, stringy hair, badly trimmed, scruffy beard. He was only wearing blue jeans with white tank top and socks on. I thought it was crazy that it was January and freezing cold, pouring rain.
Pouring rain. January.
Why was he here at the gas station at that time? I was thinking this guy must be out of his mind. I tried to ignore him and look away, as I wanted to avoid drawing attention to myself from this strange man as I could, but
Yeah.
I looked back to check if he was still there because I was very much distracted and unsettled by him. and I couldn't look away for long, but he was gone. I was relieved as I didn't want him staring at my wife as she came back out.
Yeah, but you never know where he is now.
Just as I was thinking that, I heard psst behind me. It was him. The creepy guy staring at Claire was just staring at me and smiling. He looked so much worse up close.
What do you want?
I just froze, startled, and was thrown off by his sudden appearance behind me. And then after an awkward moment of silence, he spoke. He said, "Your wife." Then he leaned closer. He smelled awful, like he hadn't bathed in months. And he said, "I want to take a bite of your wife.
Oh.
She looks nice and juicy." Then he grinned and smiled from ear to ear, showing his vile teeth once more. I was ready to fight, but after that he turned and walked away laughing and just talking to himself. I quickly finished putting gas into the car, and I jogged into the gas station to make sure Claire was safe, and I walked her back to the car. We got back into the car and started to pull out of the station to make our way to the freeway. Just as we were leaving, I looked in the rearview mirror to see that creepy guy standing on the road in the rain just watching us, and he was laughing. I told Claire about the man in the encounter I had with him. She was just as freaked out as I was, and was glad I came inside to make sure she was safe. About a week later, we saw that same guy on the news for attacking and biting a woman at that same gas station.
Oh, shit.
Luckily, nothing happened when we went.
I hope that girl's okay that he attacked. Hopefully she's, like, okay. Oh, shit, man. Like, why that? What the fuck is that noise?
About 10 years ago when I was 12, I would always go into the nearby woods with my friends for most of the day.
What? Why?
One night, we left pretty late. Usually I got home before dark, but today, I knew I wouldn't make it back, and I already knew my parents would be mad at me.
Really?
We were walking in a group for a few blocks.
Really?
Then a couple of my friends split from us to go to their house. I started to notice that a van kept driving past us.
Oh, God.
I didn't think anything of it. And then my last friend split to go to her house.
Okay.
I had about 5 to 10 minutes left until mine. Then I see that van again, and it pulled up right beside me and stopped.
Oh, my God.
The driver rolled down the front window. Then she told me that she can't find her son and she's been looking all evening. Then she asked me if I seen him.
No.
I looked and I said no. Then she asked me if I wanted to get in her van to help find him.
No.
I said no again.
I want to go home.
And I looked forward. Then she asked me, am I sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I didn't answer and I started to walk
100%.
faster. Then all of a sudden there was some guy in her back seat that said, "Let's just fucking snatch her." I looked at the van for a split second.
Okay, you better
As the
run.
woman looked in the back seat and she sped up to park on the side of the street.
You better fucking run.
I started running through yards. I heard the doors open and shut on the van, but I didn't look back until I got home. Nobody followed me. I told my parents and we called the cops. I never missed curfew after that.
Like, at first I thought they were saying that they're gonna go into the woods despite it being like 9 or 10 at night, so I was like, what the hell? But yeah, walking home at night has to be, like, I remember the other night I walked home at like 12.
I had a guy both high on meth and acid break into my apartment in college a few years back.
Of course you did.
Somehow he was convinced that he lost his glasses inside. I'm doing dishes one day when my door just slammed open. Next thing I know, he's behind me and I'm being choked to death in my kitchen.
What the fuck?
As I was losing consciousness, I
Like,
grabbed
just
my roommate's arm
like,
and I frantically swung over my shoulder right into his face. The bong broke, but did nothing as the guy was choking me even harder. So I swung it again. Afterward, his scalp and part of his cheek were hanging off the side of his face. So I chased the guy out of my house. There was easily 2 feet of snow on the outside.
oh shit.
He tries walking back to his house through a cemetery as a shortcut, and he passed out. The police only found him because I called the cops, and they followed the blood and footprints through the snow. There was so much blood, and my kitchen was covered. His blood was on my refrigerator counter, floor, and ceiling. It was almost as traumatic to clean it. My roommates were gone for the winter break. Thank God my roommate's girlfriend came over and helped me. Now for that guy. The cops couldn't charge him for 2 days because he needed a blood transfusion. He was charged with assault, breaking and entering, and attempted murder.
Like,
Not sure what he got convicted of, but he went to jail for 4 years.
it should be longer than that. Okay, I'm freezing. I'm sorry, but I'm freezing. Like, I am cold, fam. Ugh. Big ass blanket.
When I was a kid, I was riding my bike home from a friend's house at sunset.
I'm still cold.
I rode past the community pool, which had been closed for a couple of months.
Okay.
There was a car in a lot with a guy in it. I didn't think much of it as I continued to trek home. I cut through the local elementary parking lot, which has gates. I get about 20 yards past the gate, and I see that car pull up at the bottom. Thinking that's odd. Anyhow, he backs out and away from the gate. My spidey senses were kinda tingling at this point. I get up to the school, and I head toward the teacher parking lot, which is my standard direction. As I'm about to turn, I see headlights from the parking lot. I stop and I peek around the corner, and it's that guy again. I flip my bike around, and I start going the long way around the school. He sees me, but just gets back in his car, and he starts driving around the front of the school. I camp in these bushes, and my heart is pounding at this point. He is slowly driving up and down the front of the school, keeping an eye on the teacher's lot.
The fuck?
Another car comes down the street, and he has to move his dumb car off the road. As soon as he does, I just blasted up the street, full tilt, and flew my bike into some random open garage.
Oh yeah, because he's on a bike, yeah.
So I'm hiding in this garage, and I'm waiting for him to come around again. But he doesn't.
No.
I give it a few minutes, then decide to pop my head out. Still no one. Okay. I'm a few blocks from home. I just gotta go for it. I bust out my bike and I started hauling ass home. Not half a block later, this dude turns the corner on me. I just veer my bike into some random lawn and I run up to the front door. I look at him and he's just in the street staring at me.
Like,
I grip the front door handle, praying that any and everyone just hears me. I see his reverse lights flicker, and I know he just put it in the park. I just rip that door open, run inside, and I slam it. Two old people just sitting there. I look at them. I'm like, some dude is trying to get me out there. They don't completely believe me because they barely react to what I said.
they're like, liar.
But they don't kick me out of their house either. I'm watching this dude from their window, and he's just chilling.
Like,
Then the grandpa-looking dude just gets up, and he opens the curtain to look for himself. When he does this, the guy in the car just leaves. The old guy's like, well, look like he's gonna leave now. I'm like, I'm not leaving for a bit. So I hang out for 10 minutes and no creepy abductor car to be seen. I'm assuming he figured I called the cops. Finally, I'm like, I have to get home.
yeah, like,
This is
shit.
before cell phones were common for average people. I hop on my bike, and I swear it felt like I drove 35 miles per hour the whole way home. I get home, and I tell my parents. I'm exhausted and in complete shock. They basically brushed me off. I'm stunned that every adult I interacted with just acted like I was crazy. I basically never talked about it again, and it was so traumatic to me. I just never wanted to bring it up, period.
Yeah, no one even believes
That
you. They're
image
just
of
like,
him in his
liar.
car while I held the door handle to that random house is permanently seared into my brain. To this day, it's still as crystal clear as if it happened yesterday. 20 years later, I decided to confront my parents as to why they didn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
They were like, what the hell am I talking about? I explained it a little better than I could have back then. And my mother broke down. She started crying at this public restaurant because she saw how serious I was.
Oh,
We
now
also
you
spoke
believe
about
me.
how my spidey senses just kicked in. Thankfully, I was on the verge of puberty and ended up being pretty big. So my actual fears just diminished. I don't know, I guess since I was bigger, I can defend myself better. Until I moved away from that town, however, I looked every day for that car. I never saw it again. I would fantasize about what I'd do to that person if I saw him. Hell, I still do to this day. When I was younger, my brother and I were staying up late playing video games since we didn't have school the next morning.
Okay.
It was maybe 3 a.m. when we decided to shut it down and get in bed. My room is at the end of the hall, while my brother's was right next to mine. After we shut it off and we put the controllers away, we both hear these heavy, slow footsteps coming from the kitchen. The kitchen was the only room without carpets, so they sounded pretty ominous. We gave each other a look, and I called out for my dad. Well, then the footstep sounds trailed back towards our laundry room, and it stopped. That's also where our basement door is. But we knew something wasn't right, so we both started yelling for our mom and our dad. And they come rushing in, all sleepy and confused. And we frantically explain what we heard. My dad goes and checks it out and tells us that all the doors were still locked and closed. And there wasn't anything showing that anyone was in the house.
The hell?
Maybe a good explanation for this is that someone just broke in and scurried away when we called out.
Yeah.
But I always wondered, what if it was a ghost instead?
That's definitely possible too, I guess. Creepier, but you know.
Yeah. I'm a 25-year-old guy, and one evening I was scrolling through my Facebook when a woman named Aisha, she messaged me. She said hello. That usually doesn't happen to me. I didn't know who she was, and I usually don't reply to strangers, but she was pretty attractive, so I thought, why not? And I messaged her back saying hi.
It's not her, is it?
Some time passed, and we ended up talking all night.
Oh.
We got along so well, and she was very nice and seemed to be into the same things as myself.
Of course she did.
I was a metalhead, and into dark gothic stuff, and she was the same. That same night, she asked me if I wanted to go to her house the next night to listen to music and watch some movies, just to hang out and stuff.
I met you a day ago, fam.
It was very sudden, but I thought, why not? We got along so well. She was only 20 minutes away, so we traded phone numbers. And then the following night, I got myself ready and drove to her house. The house she lived in, it was out in the country and a little further than I expected. When I finally arrived, I saw the house. It was a big country house. From the outside, it was pretty beautiful, to be honest. I also noticed there were 3 cars in the driveway, but maybe she just owned more cars.
Nope.
I messaged her, letting her know that I had arrived, and she replied and told me just to come in and go upstairs and get into the bedroom.
No.
I said, all right, cool.
No.
But it was strange that she wouldn't just meet me at the door.
Yeah.
When I entered the house, the place was so dark and it looked like it hadn't been cleaned or maintained in years, and it had a weird, unpleasant old smell. I then proceeded to head upstairs.
Yeah, it's a dude, isn't it?
And the old, creaky, dusty stairs. It was weird to me.
Yeah, this ain't no Aisha.
I spoke out, asking where she was, and it was eerily silent. I heard that gun cock. I wasn't mistaken. I ran down the stairs and I heard footsteps of at least 3 people chasing me. I heard men's voices saying, grab him.
See?
I run pretty fast, so these guys had no chance of catching me. About time those guys made it outside, I was already in my car driving away.
Get the hell out of there.
After that, I haven't used the internet to date again.
Yeah, good idea. Freaking Aisha. Yeah, bitch, Aisha my ass. Will you come inside? Come into the bedroom.
A few years back, I lived with my mother and German Shepherd in a 2-bedroom rented townhome.
Okay.
I got home from work one day and went about my daily routine. When it came time to eat dinner, I knocked on my mom's door to come and eat. I smelled cigarette smoke and heard her grunt a response. So I went back down and ate alone. I figured I would just put a plate away for her. Fast forward to about 2 a.m. I am awoken by someone holding my hand and gently shaking it. I immediately shoot straight up and look around. My dog, who is overly protective and sleeps with me every single night, isn't in bed. She isn't even in the room.
Oh.
She most definitely was on my bed when I went to sleep. I sleep with my bedroom door shut and locked. But for some reason, she is scratching at my closed door, and it's locked. She's on the outside of the bedroom, in the hallway.
How was she on the outside if it was
frantic? I bolt for the door, let her in, and she's searching the whole room. I'm now yelling for my mother. No answer. I force my dog to walk down the hallway with me. I still smell cigarette smoke. I bang on my mom's door. No answer. So I just open it. She isn't even home. The bed is made and her TV is off. My dog and I searched for the whole entire house. Nothing was out of place.
So who's smoking?
All the doors and windows are still locked. I was freaked out, to say the least.
What?
The next day I called my mom and she told me that she left early that day before to go visit my sick grandfather. To this day, I'm still creeped out by that situation.
The hell? That's kind of fucked up, not gonna lie, that's kind of fucked up.
My sister had this one friend when we were growing up. Always got bad vibes from. She would try to pick on my little brother, but I would always stop her. I was 8 and she was 10. Once we were at a lake and all the kids were swimming. I swam out to the deep end, which I shouldn't have. She kept acting weird and getting closer to me, making this weird laugh. She pushed me off the wooden pole in the water and I got scared and started to swim back, but she came up behind me and pushed me under the water.
What?
It didn't click at first, but she was trying to drown me.
Like,
but after she aggressively pushed me under the third time, I had this crazy moment of clarity. It was like everything slowed down. I relaxed and I let myself sink. I swam underneath her and came up behind her. I grabbed her hair and shoved her face into the water.
Oh, damn.
Keeping my legs on her back so she couldn't come up. I waited until her struggling slowed down and I let her come up. I waited in the water, saying nothing, bracing myself for her retaliation, but she just looked panicked and swam back to the shore.
Yeah, bitch.
I told my sister, who already told me that the girl was weird. We confronted her together, and she just looked really dazed. And in a monotone voice, she said, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're sorry.
I didn't know it would be like that.
Sorry.
It wasn't until I replayed those words in my mind later that I realized what she was really saying.
What?
And it was like, sorry I tried to drown you. It wasn't until I was almost drowned myself until I realized how horrible it was. After that, my sister quit talking to her.
Good idea. Okay, last story. Let's do this.
So my aunt does witchcraft and card readings. One time while my mom was pregnant with me, they came up with the great idea to play with the Ouija board. They made contact with whatever spirit was out there, and instantly my aunt started to feel uncomfortable. As they continued to play, the board kept spelling out B-A. At the time, no one in my mom's family known that she was pregnant. Only her and my father. Everyone that was playing were extremely confused as to why the board would spell out baby except for my mom. My mom got the courage to even speak. From seeing the pieces move around the board, she asked, "What do you want from this baby?" And shortly after the board spelled out, "Want." My mom, she instantly freaked out and took her hand off the board. My aunt panicked, telling her to stay calm and if there was anything she needed to know about this baby. My mom told her that she was pregnant. After this, stuff got weird. While my mom was in labor with me, she ended up having really bad seizures while pushing me out for the final time. I moved into my aunt's house when times got rough. That's when stuff got really weird. My parents told me stories of when I would have conversations with myself. Whenever I would play Barbies, I would always say the same name, the same female name. This continued for months until my parents were stable enough to get their own house. But the night before I was going to leave, I had fallen asleep in the living room, not my room. My dad had gotten up from his sleep to use the bathroom, and he walked past my room, and he said I was playing with my Barbies. He told me to go to sleep and that it was too late. When he finished saying this, he went to walk to the bathroom and past the living room where I was sleeping. My dad, in complete confusion, walked back to the room and saw my Barbie just sitting on the floor. He was freaked out due to him just waking up and thought it was his mind.
What the hell?
The next day, we moved out of the house, and as we walked out the door, a picture frame, it fell. The funny thing was, the shatter was only on my face. The following week was my birthday. I had a small get-together with some family members and friends. At my birthday party at exactly 4:59 p.m., I had a seizure. Funny thing was that it was my birth time, and I turned 6. To this day, we still don't really understand what happened, if that Ouija had anything to do with that.
Probably did.
But I won't play with a Ouija board.
Good call. Alright, well, I think that's it, right? Yeah, it's over. That was a good almost 26 minutes. Okay, since the 10 stories are kind of like just assorted about anything, just be careful if you're walking outside. Don't go in the woods at night. Don't play with Ouija boards. If anything looks sus, if you're a pizza delivery person, don't go in a house. Don't go online dating. Don't do anything. Just don't do it. Just stay home and sleep. Okay, that's all you have to do. Okay, don't do nothing. Do not go outside. Do not go to school. Do not. Okay, I'm joking about that. But obviously go to school and work. But just be careful. Like, just watch the fuck out. And if something seems sus, it's sus. Okay. Like, it's so stupid when I hear stories kind of like, oh yeah, you can come upstairs. Just open the door. The door's open. Come upstairs, and then you come in, and then it's pitch black. I wonder why it's pitch black. They're trying to fucking kill you, bitch. Ugh, stupid. Anyway, guys, yeah, just be careful. Just watch out. Just don't do what happened in these videos. Okay, just don't. If anything seems sus, report it or something, or just, you know, keep track of what's going on or something. You know, just I don't know, just do something. Okay. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. If you have any more reaction suggestions, then let me know. And yeah, I'll get to them as soon as I can. Yeah, thanks for watching. Peace out.